And shifting focus back to the Israel-Hamas conflict, we're in conversation with Gideon Sa'ar, member of the War Cabinet of the Unity Government currently and a former Deputy Prime Minister of Israel. Listen in. Joining us now is Mr. Gideon Sa'ar, the former Deputy Prime Minister of Israel and currently a Minister without portfolio in the Unity Government. Mr. Gideon, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Let me first understand from you.
Thank you for inviting.
Nearly 27 days into this war against the Hamas, how would you assess the current situation?
Right now, we are operating in Gaza Strip for already 5 days. It's very tough battles there. The terrorists are hiding among houses, civilian population as a human shield. We have significant achievements there, killing the terrorists, taking over territory, and also dealing with tunnels they dig underneath the ground. But of course, we pay a heavy price. We have casualties among our soldiers, and that's a heavy price we have to pay in a war with these monsters.
One of the allegations with the strike in Jabalia is that you are targeting refugee areas. You are targeting areas with the civilian population. And you've been accused of war crimes. How would you want to respond to that?
That's a lie. The contrary is correct. We asked time and again the civilian population in the north to evacuate to the southern part of the Strip in order to protect itself. And in order to protect itself, you know, it's something in the international law, the laws of war, is evacuating population for the sake of its peace, of its safety. And this is what we did. Unfortunately, Hamas fought in order to, or try to avoid from people to go south. IDF is handling the war and conducting the war, as always, according to the international law. We have jurists that all the time is working with the commanders, and we never target civilian population. Of course, one cannot deny that when is a war and there is and they fight and using the terrorists themselves using civilian population as a human shield, sometimes you have casualties, but we never target civilians.
Hamas is claiming that in the IDF strikes, hostages have been killed. 5 foreign hostages have been killed. How would you want to respond to that?
First of all, Hamas is using, after they kidnap babies, elderly people, women, they torture them, they rape them, they do terrible war crimes. After that, they're trying to use our hostages for a psychological war in order to hurt the Israeli society. We call them and we call the international community to act, to unconditional release those hostages who are civilians and shouldn't be in the hands of this monster.
One of the objectives we are given to understand is freeing up Salah al-Din, the main highway, which is about 45 kilometers. What's the objective there? Because the IDF.
Sorry, I didn't get the question right.
The Salah al-Din highway inside the Gaza Strip, the main arterial road, is it an objective to secure that highway? Because the IDF has posted audios of Gazan civilians saying Hamas are blocking that highway. They're not allowing evacuation. So what is the IDF strategy there?
frankly, I don't know the names of the roads in Gaza Strip, and I cannot comment on a certain road in Gaza Strip. I can say only one thing. We called the civilian population in the territories we are acting now, in the northern part of Gaza Strip, to go down to the southern part of Gaza Strip. And we tell it time and again in order to protect this civilian population. We didn't, we in a way, we discover the territory we will act, but in order to protect this civilian population. So we are doing our utmost in order to protect civilians who are not involved in terrorism.
Where do you see this going? What happens next? Destroying the Hamas infrastructure is an objective, but is it also to try and reduce the Hamas's presence on the Gaza Strip, narrow the Gaza area itself?
No, what our objective, as we defined it in our security cabinet, is to destroy the military and the governing powers of Hamas, also military capabilities of Islamic Jihad in Gaza Strip. This is the goal. And of course, we want to remove the threat, the military threat, from our citizens. So while we are speaking about territories, we are not intent to have Gaza Strip as part of our country. As you know, we evacuated Gaza Strip totally 2005. Yes. We removed all our citizens from there and all military presence, including graves. We took the graves also with us. So we don't have any intentions of that kind, but we want to make it safe. We want the people that were massacred, their families in October 7, to come back to their villages. And we need to have security buffer zones near our borders in the northern part of Gaza Strip, in the eastern part of Gaza Strip, where no one will be able to be close to the fence and to try to enter to our sovereign territory. And this is what we will do, but it's what I call security buffer zones.
My final two questions. Your reaction on the UN Security Council resolution, or the UN resolution, the way it was worded. Do you believe the position that's been taken is adverse to Israeli interests, or does it actually consider Israeli interests?
I want to strongly condemn the Secretary General words, because it's total misleading. We know that we totally evacuated Gaza Strip 18 years ago. It could have been today a paradise, but they decided to not to build, not to invest in education or in health or in infrastructure, but in missiles and in war machine, in order to threaten our lives. And ever since we left the Gaza Strip, Palestinian terrorism from there only became bigger and bigger until October 7, when it was a barbaric attack on our citizens.
My final question has two parts, Mr. Gideon Sa'ar. One is, how would you see India's position vis-a-vis the Israel-Hamas conflict, the position that we as a country have taken? And the second part is, are you an advocate of a two-state solution, like former Prime Ministers Ehud Olmert and Ehud Barak?
First of all, I want to praise the statement of Prime Minister of India, who supported Israel after the attack. We appreciate that. With regard to the two-state solution, one must understand Israel should be very careful, because we learned from our history that every time we withdrew from a territory, bilaterally in the Oslo agreements, unilaterally in Gaza Strip, terrorist elements take over on the territory and use it as a basis of aggression against Israel. So even those who theoretically support the idea of a Palestinian state, which I never supported, but even those who support that idea in Israel say today the circumstances are not those who allow you to go forward with this kind of policy.
So is the end near in sight, or do you see it stretching beyond the 50-day war?
We still have a lot of work to do in order to achieve the goals and the objectives of the war, and we will continue to do it decisively until we will reach it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting.